Hey everyone, this lesson will look at the Allied strategic bombing campaign in World War II. While the Americans and the Japanese were battling it out in the Pacific, the Germans were facing a war on two fronts: the Soviets in the east and the American, British, and French allies in the west. In World War II, bombing campaigns in Europe were on a scale they had never been seen before. In 1942, the British government moved towards a policy of strategic bombing in an effort to win the war. This word strategic, you may have already heard it, or strategy. It's a word that refers to large picture, large scale plans. For instance, the German strategy, or major plan for the Battle of Britain, was to win the air battle, dominate Great Britain, negotiate for peace, so that they could focus on the threat to the east. And although that strategy sounds nice, as we already saw, it ultimately failed. 1942 and beyond, part of the Allies' strategy was to bomb German cities and factories. This is known as strategic bombing because it's bombing on a large scale that moves the country towards the ultimate goal of winning the war. But in strategic bombing, no targets are really off limits, which makes this a very controversial strategy. The word controversial, or controversy, it means something that causes disagreement or a discussion of opposite views. Western allies had two primary targets: German factories and German cities. Bombing German factories would slow down production of the German war machine. For example, they bombed shipyards to stop the production of submarines. They bombed factories to slow the production of tanks and airplanes. But the Allies also bombed city centers. Bombing cities would lower the people's morale and ultimately make them want to surrender. The bombing of cities and civilians is what makes this strategy extremely controversial, even to this day. By mid-1944, Germany had already been bombed so much, many Germans thought the war was lost. But the war continued for months and months. In February of 1945, one of the most controversial bombings of the war took place: the firebombing of Dresden. In this attack, the city of Dresden, which was largely thought to be a safe city in Germany, was destroyed by firebombs, and over 20,000 civilians were killed. To this day, many historians debate whether or not this bombing needed to occur. In total, over the course of the war, over 1.5 million tons of bombs were dropped on Germany alone, and it certainly played a major role in their defeat in World War II. Nevertheless, strategic bombing campaigns continue to be the topic of much criticism and controversy. In the next episode, we'll take a look at Berlin after the war. Thanks. I'll see you there.